ADM Computing. We're a Microsoft Gold partner. We're also ISO 9001, 14001, 27001 and Cyber Essentials Plus accredited. And 34 years old, 70 staff, about 3/4 of whom are in the technical teams. And yeah, also a highly rated partner with many of the other industry vendors. So yes, we very much have to live and breathe these accreditations. We can't just send someone an exam and get a ticket. We actually have to be deploying and working on these. Just introducing myself as well there. So I'm Mark Phillip. I'm a Service Account Manager, Microsoft PSSP, and Advanced Cyber Essentials Practitioner. So I spend a lot of my time working with businesses, getting them through Cyber Essentials, advising them on what the scheme of the government security standard entails, and also the other half of my role is working with customers around the Microsoft Cloud Stack. So talked about Office 365, Microsoft 365, AMS. Many people start with email and don't really know what the rest of this world is. So we very much help them with that. So what are we doing today? Let's get back on track. Now we've sorted out the little niggles there. And apologies again. So this morning, going to run quickly through. Got a lot to get through. But the idea is hopefully give you an insight into what Teams is all about, where Microsoft's strategy for it is, and what it hopefully means to you. So I'm going to quickly run through kind of what is Teams, give you a high level on that. Going to talk about Skype for Business Online. Some big news come out on that in the last couple of weeks. Just going to run through a few headlines on security and compliance and Microsoft, very important stuff. And then we'll dig deeper into Teams itself. I'm going to show you some of the collaboration tools in Teams, what that's all about, and also how we then bring in the rest of 365 with Teams as well. Look at the meeting, the calling side of Teams, and then also talk about, if you are in a position there, about transitioning from Skype to Teams and what that's all about. A few little hot off the press items, some of the things that are being worked on as we speak, so coming soon. Questions at the end. We're a few little problems. We may not have time to get questions as we go through, but you should have a Q&A box on your screen. Feel free to put some questions through. If we get a chance at the end, I'll run through them quickly. If not, what we will be doing after the event is publishing via a blog post a recording of the event, and also we'll put up any answers to any questions as part of that blog post, so do watch out for that. So what is Teams? So Teams is really a collaboration hub. It's part of Office 365, but it's fast becoming one of the sort of most important parts of 365 because it is this hub. It's your go-to place for many things. It's very much chat-based at its heart, and that's either on a one-to-one basis and or a team with the team focus as well. And I'll show you a bit more of that shortly. Now, a team could be a business unit, HR, finance, something like that, or it could be just a group of people that are working together to deliver a piece of work. So it can actually just be an individual one-to-one chat as well. We can also surface other 365 apps as well into Teams and use them as part of that integrated environment. So rather than having to go to all different places for different things, we're starting to bring that really into that one place really, really well. And through that as well, we can share and collaborate documents. And also have meetings, calling. We're going to run through all of this as we go through, and also, you know, it is actually gradually taking over from Skype for Business, and I will come on to that in just a moment. Some big news on that. Now, Teams is included in most Office 365 business and enterprise level plans. It's also got a free version available. So if you're a company under 500 users, you want to give it a go, there's actually a free version you can sign up for. I would say that it does have some limitations. It doesn't necessarily have all the full Office 365 coming in because you need your plan for the rest of 365. But if you want to give it a go and have a look at it, really good place to start. If you haven't got 365 already, of course. If you do have 365, the chances are you've got Teams. It's sat there ready to go. So some of the calling and meeting functionality you do need additional licensing for. That's a conversation that we have as a follow-up to this, because it can be a little bit complicated depending on which level of 365 you've got and then what call plans you want. So there's different ways we can approach that depending on your requirements. And just some background really on Teams. It was actually launched in March 2017, so it's just over 2 years old, coming up 2.5 years old. It's actually been one of the fastest adopted apps in Microsoft's history, and we've got some stats there released fairly recently from Microsoft. And an interesting stat, some of you may have heard of the application Slack, which is very similar to Teams. In fact, it's Teams' direct competitor. And Slack basically was the sort of market leader in this space. As of 11th of July, Microsoft announced that by the metrics, they believe they've now overtaken Slack in daily active users. So you can see how fast the adoption curve is happening there. Now, I mentioned big news. Skype for Business. Over the last couple of years, there's been a drive from Microsoft to bring all the Skype for Business online functionality over into Microsoft Teams. And Microsoft announced at the end of last year feature parity, but there is still more work going on all of the time. However, there's been no up to now, there's been no date. Microsoft have said no Skype for Business Online supported, but the drive has been to Teams. If you wanted calling, you wanted messaging, it's Teams. And there's been no official date announced. That has now changed. As of a couple of weeks back, it was actually announced formally by Microsoft that Skype for Business Online is ending July 2021. So we've got 2 years now. If you're on Skype for Business, whether it's just for chat, whether it's for calling, meetings, room system, we've now got 2 years to look at Teams and plan that migration. And hopefully some of the things you'll see today will give you the feel that actually, the confidence that actually, yes, the functionality is there. We can absolutely help you with that. So that's if you're in that position, we can have a follow-up conversation on that with you. Now, it does get a little complicated though, because if you have Skype for Business on premise, that is continuing as part of the Server 2019 suite, which of course was announced earlier this year. So there is an element of Skype for Business that's finishing, but that's carrying on, sorry. However, Skype for Business Online, the part through 365, is ending in July 2021. So do start thinking now. Please don't leave that to last minute. Do start looking at Teams now, and I'll come on to some of the ways you can possibly approach that a little later on. I just wanted to touch on security compliance. We've only got a short session today. I could talk all day just on this subject alone. Now, security compliance, of course, is something that we should all be worried about in everything we do, not just with Microsoft. There's a lot of concern about cloud quite often. People don't necessarily understand what the security is around it. Your data, it's going from this PC or this server in your office, is going off somewhere else. Where is that? How secure is that? And these are all valid questions, without a doubt, regardless of whether you're using Microsoft Cloud, whether you're using AWS, Google, or whoever. So there is a lot of information on security compliance. We can again go through this in more depth with you as a separate meeting or a separate session. And we do run webinars and seminars all around security specifically. But just a couple of headlines for you, just to get you started as a takeaway today. There is a website called the Microsoft Trust Center. It's Microsoft's global website all around compliance and privacy and security. It outlines Microsoft's privacy standpoints and positions. It's a massive website. There's a lot in there. Quite often I find the easiest way to find anything is to go to your favorite search engine and do a search that will be Microsoft Trust Center and then what you're looking for. So Microsoft Trust Center, Office 365 data locations, for example. But if you do want to start it again, there is a whole GDPR section in there, for example. And on that note, actually, that's one thing that is a very interesting point from Microsoft's standpoint, is when GDPR came in, they very much took it as, this isn't just something that's come from the EU. And if we're in America, but transacting data, processing data on EU citizens, we need to be compliant. Microsoft took the standpoint of, actually, this is just sensible. This is protecting individuals' privacy and data, which is all good. So they adopted it as part of their worldwide standard. It is just the way we do it. And they're very, very vocal about that. And if you do want to catch up on any of the Microsoft blog posts, you might see a guy called Brad Smith. He's their President Chief Legal Officer. He speaks a lot on this topic. Very good speaker. And there's various videos on YouTube of him talking about this subject. So if you want to find out more of this, say Microsoft Trust Center, perhaps look up some of Brad Smith's keynotes. They're very worth a look to get a feel for what they do. A more operational level, if you're Office 365 or Microsoft 365 administrator, if you go into your admin center, there is a security and compliance center. In there are things like the GDPR dashboard, and there's also various other security and compliance controls in there to help you. Again, all this we can go through in much greater depth if that's what you want to explore. From the security compliance as well, though, we also, just as a side to this, we do need to think about our whole cloud posture, and particularly with Microsoft. So if we think that we're moving more to the Microsoft cloud, historically we've done security on a server. We put group policies in, we enforce firewalls, we have password rules, and many other things. So we've still got to do all that stuff. We can't just take we can't take our workloads off of our servers, put them in the cloud, and assume it's all good. The platforms are very secure, but there is still a responsibility. We have to set them up right. So we're doing the same thing we've always done on the server. We need to set that server up right, except we're doing it in the cloud platform. And we also bring into play things like Microsoft EMS, Enterprise Ability and Security, that can be brought on its own as an add-on 365, or it can be part of the Microsoft 365 bundle. That is all about data protection, device protection, and user management. And we use that increasingly more to do what we used to do on premise. So that, combined with the various tools as you move up the levels of Office 365, particularly in the E-grades, you start bringing in a lot more tools. But essentially, as I say, we take what we used to do on premise and we're now doing it in the cloud. So just a few things there just to consider and think about. Let's talk Teams a bit more. So Teams, absolutely, as I said, is all around, this key thing is all around collaboration. So here we are, this is Teams. I am now looking at, this is my Teams, we use it heavily at ADM. This particular channel that we're looking at, this is our cloud services update, as we refer to it. So this is a organization-wide team, and this is where all the different members of ADM can input and put information for the rest of the business. We have various tracks that we get information from. I go to a lot of the user groups, for example, and pick up information there. We have various channels from Microsoft. We have the various members of staff here going on different courses all the time. So we've got various different places we're picking up information. So we have a Teams channel we can actually put all this into, so it can be disseminated across the business. So that's what this one here is for. So as you can see there, we've got myself and Andy, we've been putting some information in there, actually about Teams and Office 365 as it happens. Now you might notice towards the left-hand side, in my list of teams, I've got one called Mark Demo, and it's a bold text compared to the rest. So if it's bold, that's one little indicator. That tells me there's unread messages in that team. Okay, so that's instantly one attention grabber I've got that there's something happening in that team that I might want to look at. I've got my team list down the left-hand side, and so again, this is a real combination here at ADM. We've got teams which are organization-wide, we've got project-specific ones, we have our Cyber Essentials teams there. So when we're doing engagements, we work in that space. We have it very limited for security. We have our practitioners working there, that we have all our files from our audits, we can work on the files together, do all the work we need. We have a data protection team channel, so all the work around that for the data protection team. We have a general, again, you can use it in a more light-hearted, perhaps try and do away with some of that cluttery email traffic. We have a for sale forum in there, so just rather than people sending around, oh, I'm selling, you can imagine we're a tech business, rather than people sending around, the emails to the whole business, hi, I'm selling a motherboard that I've replaced, whatever it is. We now have a place in Teams where everyone can just go. So it takes some of the clutter and the less critical stuff out of email and gives it a proper home. We can look at it when it's more convenient for us. Now, you might also notice as well that we've got these extra options across the top. So within this team, we also have various tabs across here. So this is where through this team channel, we can start surfacing other things as well. And this could be websites, it could be other features, other functions and tools in 365. One thing we use an awful lot straight away is our files area. So we have, for each team and its channel, each channel has its own files area. Now, all of this actually is sitting in SharePoint. Teams has a SharePoint backend, but we're accessing it through Teams. So in here, we have various, this one is our general, as I say, our general cloud update. So it's a general information one. As you can see, we've got various useful documents there, how to configure EMS, that's some of our internal documentation, configuring multi-factor authentication, using it on general admin accounts, all the things that we have to do. So Not only we're following standards here at ADM, so we're making sure that when we find something, we're doing it to best practice, we make sure people repeat. It's part of our QA process. When we have newer members of staff on, we're constantly expanding. When we have newer members of staff come on, if they need to do this work, they know there's a document there to help them. It's part of that education piece. So we've got all this here. Now, if we had, let's take, for example, if I was going to work with Andy on that configure M&S document, we were going to update it, and we're working together. We could both open that document from here. We can open it in the desktop version of Word, and we could both work on it together. In 365, any document that's come from a 365 location, so Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint, we can actually edit it, co-edit it with other people. So gone are the days now where the file would be locked and you had this whole people shouting across the office, you finished with the spreadsheet or the document, let me know when you're out, I need to do something. None of that now. So yeah, we use this a lot. And as I said, we use it a lot for things like our engagements, our Cyber Essentials work. I was on audit yesterday with John, our practitioner, and yeah, we had our audit report open. I was working on one section, John was working on the other section exactly the same time. Works really well. Now, a key thing with the teams, with the teams is that it's limited to whomever is added by the owner of the team to the team. So in the context of our staff-wide ones, that's all ADM. Now, for the Cyber Essentials team we have that very restricted. Best practice is to work on the basis of least permission. So staff who don't need to have access to all those audits and something like confidential data, then will not get it. We will disseminate where we need to. So we can add in only specific people, and only the members of the team have access to that content. Here's a really great tool though. We can add in external users. This is people outside your organization. We can bring them into a team. So if you're working with a customer or a third party outside your organization, you can bring them in and give them that rich collaboration experience. They can work in the chat. They can see the files and work on them. They don't necessarily need an Office 365 license either. You join them with their email address and in they come. Again, we use this a lot. We work with customers on large projects and we will have teams set up, and it's a really good way for our engineers to work with the customer's technical leads, particularly on larger projects where we're spending days or weeks even working on something with our customers. And we use it with our external suppliers, things like people like Microsoft, and we're talking to various staff there. We will have teams working there and we'll collaborate and work with them. So it really expands the reach of that collaboration capability. We're not just stuck now with sending endless emails or long email chains, people not knowing which version of the document they're working on. Was it the one emailed yesterday, today, last week, all of that, and cluttering inboxes as well. So email's not going anywhere. It's still got a very valid use, without a doubt. But we've taken some of the things that perhaps now are less appropriate for that, and we've got at home for them. And it makes it a much nicer experience. Now, just to talk there, we're talking about team chat there and team collaboration. We equally have one-to-one chat, so I can talk with an individual or equally a small group of individuals. But this would be where we wouldn't necessarily need a full formal team setup. I might just need a quick 5-minute chat with a couple of staff, a couple of colleagues, and that's it. And then we're done. So we can do that. So the actual chat experience in Teams, if you've used Skype for Business before, it's great. I mean, it's been a great tool for many years and it serves us well, but it is showing its age, particularly when you look at more contemporary chat apps like Facebook Messenger, like WhatsApp and many others. It's not got that rich chat experience now, Skype for Business, unfortunately. So we now get that in Teams. It is a full rich chat. It's a persistent chat. So whereas Skype for Business, you close the chat window and it saved it to Outlook and you had to go off and search for it. This is a persistent chat. I'm in a chat here with John when we were working on a session we were running. We were doing a preparation. So if I scrolled up that chat window, I will get back to all the previous chat with, in that case, John. It's also, as I say, a rich chat experience. So we can share links properly. We can share content like documents, imagery. We can even, we've got GIFs and emojis. It's a proper modern experience there. And that also translates over to the team chat area as well. So that whole experience I'm talking about there, that's exactly what you get in the team area. The team area does a bit more as well, that we also have at mentions. So if we're in a team, I make a comment and think I need a particular person to look at this. then I can mention them. It'll put a highlight up for them. So that's some of the chats and the collaboration tools there. Really, really powerful stuff. Now, I've been showing this, and the screenshots you've seen there have all been taken on my Surface Pro using full Windows 10. Teams is fully supported in Android and iOS as well. And this is a big thing we've seen over the last few years from Microsoft. They're very much with 365. It's now very much around having access to your data wherever and whenever you need it, but in a secure manner. So if that happens to be on an iPad or an iPhone or an Android phone or an Android tablet or a Windows tablet, it doesn't matter. We can use the Teams app and we can get to all that content. And whilst the app has been optimized for those smaller screens and the touch-driven interface, the functionality is pretty much the same. There's a few little features here and there that are slightly different and in a sort of bit of a work in progress, but the broad stroke stuff is all pretty much the same. We can do our team chat, we can do our one-to-one chat, we can open files, work on them on the go. So that is the thing. And when I come on to the calling and the meetings in a minute, again, we can do all that via the mobile app as well. So we are now truly moving to this cloud-first, mobile-first world. But it's an important thing. And as I said, the rest of 365 fully supported Android and iOS as well. Now, one thing I would mention on that as well that we do need to think of course, is we can empower our staff and give them these tools. But as businesses, where is your data? How are you managing it and how secure is it? Again, this is a whole conversation for another day. You know, we've only got so much time today. But I mentioned EM&S earlier, and part of EM&S is all around managing mobile devices, whether they're corporate owned and you want them really fully locked down, or whether it's in the bring your own devices environment. So you want people to be able to use their own devices, but you want a little bit of control. You want to be able to remote wipe the corporate data. You want to make sure it's PIN protected and encrypted. We can do all of that. So that's where EM&S comes in. So this is where we have to have a slightly bigger picture thought around how we actually use this appropriately. And I did touch on earlier that when I spoke about bringing different content, but very much with Teams, we can integrate fully with the rest of 365. 365 is absolutely an ecosystem now, not just a collection of random apps. So what we can do with each team, I mentioned the tabs earlier that we can use. We can actually add links into the various areas of 365, but also a lot of other apps and services, and there's more going in here all the time. I've not really talked about SharePoint too much today. But the SharePoint platform, hugely powerful platform. We can develop apps within SharePoint as well. We can use the Power Apps as well, have workflows running through SharePoint, and we can now actually integrate that fully into Teams as well. So if we are doing that workflow management, and then we can actually pull that into Teams as well. So it really becomes that one sort of single pane of glass for a large amount of your working day. And really, when I start my laptop, I open Outlook and I open Teams, and that's where I start. And I go from there during the day. I will then go into our CRM and do what I need to do there, or I may go off into documents. But generally, Teams and Outlook, that's my start for 10 for each working day. So talking about how we can chat and via the text-based chat, one-to-one Teams and look at documents and all that good stuff. A hugely powerful part of Teams, though, is the calling a meeting functionality. So I mentioned at the beginning that Skype for Business is ending, 2 years and counting. So Skype for Business has traditionally been that calling platform, that one-to-one chat, covered that, and the meeting platform as well. And Teams now actually fully supports all of that. So we can use Teams as a cloud-hosted phone and meeting system. And so again, as I think I touched on earlier, we do need the right level of licensing for this. Now, some of the meeting functionality, we can just do out of the box. If we have a meeting within a team, we can just do that. If you want to make a Teams-to-Teams call, we can just do that, like we have with Skype before. If you wish to go further, though, and use it as your phone system, as we do at ADM, you do need add-on licensing in certain circumstances. Some of the higher, the E5 grade, 365 does have more things built into that package. So it is a case, if you think that's something we'll look at, then do have a chat with us. We can work out what you've currently got, what you may need, and what's right, because there are different levels of call plans. Think of it like your mobile phones. You would buy call plans depending on your usage. It's a similar sort of thing with the phone system through Microsoft. So we can help work that out, and there's different ways it sort of works out there. There is also, though, direct routing available, so we can utilize other SIP providers for our call bands, our number provisioning, but we can then have Teams as our phone and collaboration client as well. So we do have those options there as well. And again, we can help you with all that if that's perhaps more an appropriate solution for you. So just to go through very quickly some of the calling, it's a really clean and sort of modern interface. So if I'm making calls, we have a dial pad. I can tap it on the touch screen. I can use my keyboard. I can copy and paste numbers into the dial window there. Fairly straightforward stuff. We build up a call history, and through the options on those, we can actually go back and do a redial if we need to. As well, that's all really straightforward to do straight out of the calls window there. We can access our voicemails. If we've got heading left, we can access them from here as well. So yeah, it's very clean, very straightforward interface. For the meetings, we can actually schedule meetings as well. And you may have seen, I'd probably say we did have a slight snag on our link, but today we sent out an email link to join the live event where you can do the same for meetings, much like we've done for Skype for a long time now. And I can do that from within Outlook. As you see here, this is my setting up a meeting and appointment in Outlook. We can equally do that directly from Teams itself. We can do either, doesn't really matter. It all syncs back and works together. And that meeting will then show in both the meetings calendar in Teams, and it will show in your Outlook calendar as well. So really easy to create meetings, and then you could either have those as, and if you've got the right phone packages, you might notice in that screenshot there, we can actually even have a traditional dial-in number. You don't even need to use Teams to join the meeting. Do need the right phone, the right license for that though. I will just add that as a caveat. But if you've got the right license, you can even dial in traditionally on a phone number. Some of the things we can do though, once we're actually in a meeting, if we've joined the meeting via the Teams app, and we're using that today, we actually do have full video. And you've seen me today, we're using that through the live events side of Teams. And yeah, we have full video. Now we also have the ability in our video that we can even blur our background. So this is part of this mobility of working. I might be in a busy office I didn't really want people to see, or I might be on a customer site, I might be in a coffee shop or a station, working from home. I'm sure we've all now seen that video that went viral of the chap working at home in his home office, and his son or daughter crawls in the background with mum frantically trying to rein the child back. Again, that we wouldn't have seen that if we had this, because we can blur this background, as you can see there. So it's really designed to be that platform that you can use wherever you need it. Now we can also share content, and that's exactly what I'm doing today. You're seeing this presentation, you're seeing my video because I've shared content from my laptop into the meeting. So that content can be a presentation, it could be a document, it could be sharing your whole screen. And Teams gives you some good options. I can either share my whole desktop, and you'll just see whatever I happen to have there, or I can share my a particular window, which is what I've done here. So we can absolutely share this content in as well. Now, talking about room systems and how we actually use this, we have a few options. We can use a headset. We could use the microphone and the video on the laptop, which is what I'm doing with you today via the Surface Pro. So we could have a headset. We can have a desk phone. We could even have a fully interactive room system. And people like Poly, who used to be Plantronics and Polycom, they've come together this year to perform Poly, have a lot of certified devices, obviously Microsoft themselves, and many others as well. So there's a lot of different options, and we can have the fully immersive room experience with Surface Hubs from Microsoft, and utilizing those along with a fully set up meeting room. So you walk in the meeting room and you're immediately in this immersive experience, or we can run it from our actual individual laptops. So there's full options available. There's more options coming out as we speak. With Teams coming out, the hardware manufacturers, particularly for phones, had to go away and redo all of the software that ran on the phones to make them Teams compliant. Those are now coming to market. So there's a lot of certified devices out. There's more coming from all the headline vendors. So whatever your staff preference is, whether it is via a headset, whether it is a traditional desk phone that is connected through to Teams, I'd say whether it's in the room system, there's something there for everyone, and you can have a completely mixed estate. It really works well on that front. Just to come back again, we spoke earlier about moving Skype for Business. In fact, the Skype for Business online is ending, and we need to look at Teams. And I hope in this little snapshot we're doing this morning, you've seen some of the good things Teams does, and how actually we could, there's functionality there that is in Skype that we can move over. But of course, if you are using Skype for Business, then it's as with any system migration, we do need to plan it. We need to think about how you're actually going to move over. And there are various modes available to help us with that. So we can have a mixed estate as a transition. So I, for a long time, been in Teams only mode. We've just come to the end of the transition ourselves. We're in Skype Business Online. We've been moving over here at ADM. So I was one of the adopters. I was in Teams only. So I only ever use Teams for my calling, for my meetings, and chat. But if I wanted to chat to a member of staff who was still on Skype for Business, when I then started a chat in Teams, it would connect through to their Skype for Business. But Teams would actually, it knows this, it tells me this, so it gives me a headline that yes, I can chat to them, but I don't get all those rich features. I can't do the file collaboration, I can't do all the GIFs, the emojis, all the other, the imagery and that sort of stuff, because it is limited, Skype Business, compared to Teams. So it tells me that, but I still am able to talk to that person and calling, and there's interrupt there as well. So we can actually have that mixed estate as we gradually bring people over to the Teams platform. Of course, if you are just starting out and you haven't used Skype at all yet, then great, go for Teams and start using and looking at it straight away. It may be, if you're using Skype Business Online for calling, that you may want to look at having Teams initially just for some of the team collaboration or the one-to-one chat, just as the initial sort of inroad into it. And that's how we started out. We started using it purely on a team basis, and then we've gradually brought everything else in. So what's going to be right for each company will vary, as with any of these things. And again, we can help them figure out what's going to be the best approach for you. Some people, it's better to get over as quick as possible. Some people need a slight more gradual sort of planned migration. But yeah, if you're not using Skype Business Online yet, please do just go for Teams. If you've got Office 365, it's there. If you haven't got 365, certainly worth looking at in its own right, but equally Teams is available as a free version. So I just want to cover off quickly, just to mention a few things that are coming. Now, Teams, as I mentioned at the beginning, is that fastest adopted app from Microsoft. And what we've seen is actually the development from Microsoft is running at a similar pace. I think when you talk about an Office 365 or Microsoft 365 sits in what Microsoft refer to as the modern workplace space. And anytime they're talking in this area, the word Teams, it comes up. It really is a high priority for Microsoft. So there's various things keep getting announced. There's a continual roll of features coming out. If you wanted to, there is actually a full roadmap. So you can look at the Microsoft 365 roadmap, filter it. It'll show you what's coming, what is released in Teams, what's being rolled out, what's coming soon. If you really like this, looking more deeper dive into this sort of stuff, there's also the Teams user voice forum. That's where the technical community can discuss potential features, and actually Microsoft do listen to that forum, and you'll find on there as well that if you look for a particular feature and you think, well, this would be really good if it works in this way, and you find it on user voice, you may actually find that Microsoft will update and say, yeah, we're working on that, guys. And they've even, I've seen, asked for test candidates through that to test new features. So there's a lot of different things there you can use to keep on top. Obviously, keep in touch with us as well. We'll do our best to keep through these posts and our blog posts to keep you up to date. But some of the things, customized backgrounds. Again, we are. We showed the blur background earlier, but we're actually going to have the ability later this year to actually inject our own background. So if I wanted to have the big ADM logo behind me, I could. If I wanted to have a scene like the London or the Vegas backdrop, strip behind me, I could have that as a picture, whatever I fancy. So it kind of almost puts you into that sort of TV studio if you're broadcasting and having a meeting. Content cameras, intelligent capture. This is really taking the room system side just to the absolute next level. If you are using a Surface Hub or any of those interactive type boards, some of this is actually going to be, if you were using a room system and someone was stood in front of that board writing, and there's a whiteboard app, for example, actually the intelligent capture will actually take that human to a large degree out, whereas they might be standing in front of the board, it'll take them out of the way. and it will blur them so that actually they're not interrupting the board, and you can just see the whole whiteboard. So it sort of makes teacher a bit transparent, I guess, with an analogy. That's coming later this year. Live captioning and subtitles. We've got a lot more coming around that to make, again, the accessibility happening. Private channels. So we're, at the moment, it's somewhat limited teams. If whilst I can't actually gain access to any channel if I've not been added, absolutely not. I can potentially search my tenant and see what else there is. So we can actually have private channels, so no one can even know that channel's there other than administrators. They're working on more around priority notifications. So and that's actually just coming now. So there's going to be ways that we can actually, if there's something that's a really important message, we can put an even higher priority notification into that to really grab someone's attention. Another one rolling out now, read receipts. That's just about to start rolling out. So if you've sent a message, you'll actually get in a channel, you'll actually get notified there when people have actually read it. Announcements in channels. Again, all of these rolling out now. So not only can I put a post up in a team channel, I can actually make it announcement. I can put extra emphasis. I can put a big banner image on it. You know, really grab people's attention with it. Cross-channel posting. So at the moment, if I post into one channel, that's it. It's in that channel. There's going to be a lot more coming that we can actually move content around between the different channels. And channel moderation, there's going to be, again, greater controls around that. We have administrative level controls we can put in to a certain degree, but there's going to be more controls around moderation of content in the channel. So a lot more coming that as this gets used more, these kind of considerations become more of an issue that perhaps not been to date. But all this sort of stuff is coming, and that's just a very small snippet of the sort of things happening. There is an awful lot more in the pipeline as well, all documented on user voice and such like. So that brings us to the end. I'll check in my colleagues, the producers, in a minute. If we've had any question and answers come up, what we will do is we're going to record. We've been recording this, so we will put this out. And if there's any questions, we'll cover those in the blog post. Apologies again for the slightly rough start at the beginning there. A couple of little technical problems here at our end, which we'll certainly do better on next time, more from a usage perspective. If you've got any questions around any of this, please do feel free to reach out to us, any of the team here at ADM. We do various sessions. Our events page on our website has them all posted. We're doing more webinars. We do a lot of seminars, very successful seminars, both here in our office in Canterbury and also at, we do quite a bit of Microsoft's offices in London. We're just arranging some more for the next few months on that. So definitely watch this space. There'll be some good stuff there. We focus a lot on security, modern workplace, and so there's a lot of events coming on there. But if you've got any questions, you want to talk to direct, we can go out to you directly as well. I do a lot of presentations to businesses, to boards as well, around whether it's security, or looking at 365, looking at how we can explore the cloud. Businesses are changing, and leadership in businesses are looking at, well, how can we adapt? What are the tools that will help drive us forward? And a lot of the technology and things like Microsoft 365 is helping with that. So we can give presentations and some guidance on that. So again, any of that, any questions, and if you want that sort of presentation or come to the event, do get in touch. Other than that, just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time this morning. We do always appreciate you giving up your time to join us, and hope you have a good rest of the day. Thank you very much.